او از میان خون هزاران نفر امپراتوریش را به دروغ برپا کرد. اما معلوم می شود که حکمرانی بر یک امپراتوری سخت‌تر از خلقان است. تار و پود نخستین امپراتوری چین از جنس وحشت و فاجعه بود. نخستین امپراتوری چین یکی از عجایب جهان را می آفریند. بنای یادبودی جاودانه که میراث اوست. اما کین شی هوانگدی به اعماق ناامیدی سقوط می کند. جایی که سرنوشت او و بقای چین رقم خواهد خورد. نخستین امپراطور چین. سال 221 قبل از میلاد، بعد از جنگ‌های طولانی و وحشیانه، پادشاه کین 6 پادشاهی دشمن باقی مانده را شکست می‌دهد و نخستین امپراتوری چین را به وجود می‌آورد.
He had achieved his lifelong ambition. He had destroyed all his enemies and he'd unified the entire world.
کین شی هوانگدی برای نخستین بار خود بر سرش تاج می‌نهد. او اولین امپراتور بزرگ چین بود.
Despite his tremendous power, it's important to remember how precarious his position was. Yes, he had developed the strongest armies, he had won the day militarily, but of course, those who he had defeated militarily did not necessarily support his reign. So one of his major concerns were the ruling families of the former states that he had defeated.
There was a very good chance that these people could mobilize their population because they had ties of loyalty to their own states, and they could attack the Qin.
秦国已经占领了我们的家乡，我们永无出头之日了。
孩子，我非常了解你的感受，但我们也无能为力。
相福必立。
Some people, especially the Chu and Han, wanted their own monarchs restored. Actually, noblemen from all the 6 defeated states wanted their own kings returned to their rule. They hated Qin Shi Huangdi.
秦王把我们玩弄于股掌之上，人为刀俎，我为鱼肉。
我绝不服从于那个暴君。
اما کین شی هوانگدی برای نجیب زادگان چو نقشه دیگر در سر دارد.
When the ruler of Qin defeated the other states, his goal was to keep them removed from their own sources of power. And to do so by literally moving the families themselves to the capital of Qin. The idea here is they would be physically removed from their own seats of power. They would be physically removed from those military leaders that had supported them, and he could keep a close eye on one of his biggest potential dangers.
first emperor was able to arrest 120,000 families of the aristocrats from all the different states and ordered them to move to the Qin heartland, where he had built palaces in the style of the various states.
One of the first emperor's goals here was to make the capital itself a microcosm of the realm, and symbolically to say it is not simply that the state of Qin has defeated other states. He really wanted to say the capital itself now is the center of the world.
قین شی هوانگدی مصمم است تا این روح اتحاد را به عمق زندگی تک تک رعایای جدیدش منتقل کند.
The Qin standardized weights and measures so that if you were in the south of the empire and you said you wanted a foot of cloth, it would mean the same thing in the north.
还有那个货币也是这样的。
It was the same thing with the currency. The 6 states had different currencies. So Qin Shi Huangdi decreed the Qin currency to become the only legal currency in the entire empire.
The first emperor mandated a unified script that could be read by anyone, anywhere in the empire. And this was part of a larger attempt to have people no longer think of themselves as part of distinctive states, but rather think of themselves as part of a single unified empire.
مدیریت این امپراتوری نوین نیاز به یک ساختار برای فرماندهی و کنترلی اساسی دارد.
Some people thought the Qin Empire should be run as a feudal system, lords administering the law as they saw fit. It was Chancellor Li Si who argued against this system. He thought the emperor needed direct control of the empire.
Therefore, the country was divided into 36 commanderies. There was an end to nepotism, and instead anyone who had the skill and ability could become a government official.
He actually wanted to maintain direct administrative control over all of China. The rulers of the commanderies would answer to him as the emperor, and they could be removed at any given time if the emperor felt they were not doing a proper job.
So it was essentially a choice to establish an entirely new system that had never been seen before on the face of the earth.
سال بعد دانشمندان شروع به کشف زوایای سیاه امپراتوری چین کردند.
In 1975, archaeologists excavated the tomb of an official within the Qin government.
This official had buried with him, written on strips of bamboo, a very large number of the laws of the state of Qin.
به تدریج معلوم می شود که قانونگذاران کین بیرحمانه تمامی جزئیات زندگی شهروندان را زیر نظر دارند.
If you were growing your livestock, you were told what to feed them, how much to feed them. When a farmer was in the fields, there were prescriptions for how he was to plow his fields, how wide the furrows were supposed to be, and the distance between the seeds that the farmer planted. All of these were dictated.
And these laws were extremely harsh. Essentially, what the Qin was trying to do was to control the behavior of every last man, woman, and child in the entire country.
حتی کوچکترین تخلف به شدت مجازات می شود.
Included among these punishments were forms of terrible mutilations. Including even pulling the body apart. when the body would be ripped apart in this way, it would also mean that the body could not properly be buried. It therefore could not give the sorts of help to later generations that an ancestor would be expected to give.
And so they used bodily mutilation as a way of instilling tremendous fear in the population.
ارتش کین قوانین خشنی را به اجرا می‌گذارد. چیزی که یک امپراتور را بیش از اندازه نگران می‌کند توطئه از خارج است.
One of the threats that the Qin faced even after the establishment of the empire were invasions and attacks from nomadic peoples from the north who were quite fierce.
امپراتوری جوان چین مورد حمله قرار گرفته و تلاشی شگفت‌انگیز لازم است تا امپراتوریش در امان بماند. نخستین امپراطور چین. نخستین امپراطور چین. سال 220 پیش از میلاد، فقط یک سال پس از پایه‌گذاری حکومت، امپراتوری چین مورد حمله قوم هون‌ها و مغول‌ها قرار می‌گیرد.
To the north and west of the Qin Empire were nomadic peoples, and quickly this became the single biggest military threat to the Qin. If you were to march, for example, a large mass infantry army into the steppe region, a nomadic group can easily defeat that by simply encircling it, attacking its supply lines, and endlessly doing small attacks that can wear down the Qin armies.
The Huns were invading Chinese territory and interfering with farming, interfering with the settled life, interfering with the trade that was going on. And so the first emperor had to take steps in order to defend his borders.
这帮蛮匪简直是岂有此理呀！
نخستین امپراتور چین کین شی هوانگ که از این یورش‌ها بسیار خشمناک است، با یکی از فرماندهان سپاهش که مورد اطمینان اوست قرار ملاقاتی می‌گذارد.
我们的北疆幅员辽阔。
General Meng Tian came from a whole family of generals who had loyally served the Qin for several generations.
匈奴骑兵又神出鬼没，使我们的戍边部队防不胜。
他信任的大臣并不多，像这个蒙氏弟兄就。
Emperor Qin did not trust many people, but he trusted the Meng family. So he chose General Meng Tian to help him deal with the Han. This was a very important mission.
防不胜防啊！
Der Staat Qin, der dann eine Expansions...
The trouble with the expansion of Qin into a large empire was that suddenly the emperor had to protect a border that stretched across the north for over 3,000 miles. This was a major challenge facing the first emperor.
或许我们该效仿我们的祖先呐，他们修筑城墙来防御外敌的侵犯。
因为在六国的时候都修长城。
Former warring states had built walls in strategic places to protect themselves from each other and the warring nomads to the north.
陛下，这些城墙也有上百年的历史，匈奴骑兵可以轻易地绕过城墙，进入我们的国境。
我们
们可以这样啊，把这些旧有的城墙给它连接起来，让它蔓延1万里，来保卫我们的每一寸土。
陛下的意思是，
蒙庆啊，这长城就由你来修建了。
The first emperor decided to link together pre-existing smaller walls to form what we know as the Great Wall.
مسئولیتی عظیم.
When the emperor decided to build the Great Wall, the people had just come off of years of intense warfare. It was hard to launch into this undertaking and would take its toll. The wall would cost a lot of money, labor, and ultimately, lives.
Just as his battles required a conscripted army, his great projects like building the Great Wall also required, in effect, an army. This time an army of conscripted labor.
حدود 1 میلیون نفر تحت شرایط وحشتناکی مجبور به ساختن دیوار چین شدند.
The conditions must have been absolutely appalling. There was very little food, there was very little water, and the officers drove the men very hard. And the result was that large numbers of men died in the construction. And it's said that the men were buried in the wall themselves, thrown in as fill.
To be sent on one of these projects was tantamount to a death sentence.
100,000 نفر به هنگام ساختن دیوار جان باختند. طول دیوار چین معادل 4500 مایل است که از تمامی مرزهای شمالی چین محافظت می‌کند.
The first emperor did not only have problems in the north with the Huns, he also had problems in the south. And these were areas occupied by the ancestors of the modern Vietnamese.
بعد از فتح کامل چین، نخستین امپراطور باور داشت که قوی‌ترین ارتش دنیا می‌تواند به سادگی ویتنامی‌ها را در هم بشکند.
In 219 BCE, he mounted a campaign against the south.
However, it was very hard for Qin soldiers who were used to campaigning on the plains of the north to fight tropical jungle warfare.
و همانند ارتش‌های بیگانه قرنها پس از آن، یعنی 2000 سال بعد، کین در جنگ علیه اجداد اولیه ویتنامی از سوی پارتیزان‌ها مورد حمله قرار گرفت.
The Viets were very smart fighters. They hid in the mountains and dense jungles. It was very difficult for the Qin to find and destroy them.
Here they were in the swamps and jungles of the far south. And they began to lose the battles.
سپاه عظیم و گرفتار جنگی که هر لحظه گسترش می‌یافت و یک مشکل بزرگ برای امپراتور جدید محسوب می‌شد.
In particular, the difficulty for him was that he could not bring down sufficient grain supplies to provide his army for a long campaign.
راه حل شگفت‌انگیز امپراتور برای جنگ حتی امروز پس از قرن‌ها موجود است. کانال لینکیو که توسط کین شی هوانگدی در جنگ علیه ویتنامی‌ها ساخته شد.
This meant that the first emperor's grain barges could be brought down from the north all the way down into South China, right onto the coast.
مهندسان و طراحان امپراتور کانالی به طول 600 مایل را در کمتر از 1 سال به اتمام رساندند.
And finally, the Qin was successful in defeating the ancient Viet peoples.
It's stunning the type of organizational skill that the Qin was able to engage in. To plan such a canal, to be able to physically implement it, and to have it work so well. It is truly an engineering marvel.
پس از نزدیک به 2 دهه جنگ و کشتار بیرحمانه و طرح‌های ساختمانی عظیم مانند دیوار بزرگ چین، مردم از این همه جنگ و ویرانی خسته شدند.
我的祖上今天肯定对我发怒，为什么今天一点声音都没有？老天爷又发怒了，今天晚上我就支不开锅了。至少你的儿子还在家里。
秦始皇。
Emperor Qin underestimated the impact that the people's hardships would have on the empire. He was wrong to think that force would continue to solve every problem.
我的2个儿子都没了，就因为那个暴君。我的大儿子笨，我的小儿子也死。
The first emperor became concerned about rising discontent. So he sent out spies into the marketplace.
我不应该这么倒霉啊！我诅咒那个暴君，我要他死后永远不得安宁。
The spies came back with stories that he was in fact not winning the hearts of the populace, and according to the stories, he began to get increasingly paranoid, fearing that perhaps his reign and perhaps even his own life were in danger.
朕决定从咸阳调300官军戍守北长城。
It was quite obvious that there was a lot of unrest and there was a lot of resistance, not only by the people at large, but even among the courtiers that he had gathered in the palace at Xianyang to surround him.
陛下，这些人都擅长，有家有小，思想情绪很重，极有可能扰乱军心啊！
这什么人？这是啊，
陛下，好大的胆子你！陛下，滚！陛下息怒，待臣查明。你们是滚！即刻命令陛下，陛下息怒啊！陛下。
He could tell very clearly that the population was not happy. So it is really not surprising that the first emperor began to worry about his own personal safety.
و دلایل خوبی هم داشت. برای آرام کردن روح پر التهاب و نگران امپراطور، موسیقیدان‌های بسیار هنرمند در قصر حضور داشتند تا به هنگام نیاز بتوان از وجودشان بهره گرفت. یکی از هنرمندانی که هنرش مورد توجه همگان قرار داشت، موسیقیدان نابینایی بود به نام گاو جنلی.
He was a very good musician. And his talents came to the attention of the first emperor. And so he was summoned to court.
او نیز مانند بسیاری دیگر از رعایای کین شی وانگدی از امپراطور اول متنفر بود.
And so Gao Jianli filled his lute with lead, hoping that he would get more close contact with the first emperor.
简直是仙乐呀，让朕产生了种种幻想。
And when they were quite close to each other, Gao saw his opportunity.
امپراتور وحشت زده در می‌یابد که مردم به شدت از او متنفرند. نخستین امپراطور چین. نخستین امپراطور چین. سال 219 قبل از میلاد. امپراطور اول چین باید بیاموزد که فرمانروایی بر یک امپراتوری بزرگ به همان خطرناکی خلق کردن آن است.
The emperor's favorite court musician was Gao Jianli. Because Gao Jianli was from Yan, a former enemy state, the emperor had him blinded, so the emperor could still be close to him without fearing an assassination attempt. But that was a mistake. Gao Jianli had secretly filled his instrument with lead so that he could use it as a weapon against the first emperor.
تولد 45 سالگی امپراتور است. بعد از سوء قصدی دیگر به جان او، کینشی هوانگدی دچار بیماری می شود که امروز آن را یک بیماری روانی به نام پارانویا توصیف می کنند.
We know that his childhood was rather violent. He was living in a foreign country, in a very hostile country, and experienced attacks against him when he was in attempts to kill him when he was almost 5 years old. Certainly, this was a traumatic event for him. And then he was betrayed by his mother. This together would certainly lead to paranoia. The paranoid person begins to be suspicious of those around him. He begins to interpret benign or neutral remarks as containing insults or hidden slights.
معروفترین نخبگان برای میهمانی تولد کینشی هوانگدی دعوت شده بودند.
These scholars were supposed to be broadly educated, widely read, and to be able to address their advice on all sorts of matters that might come up. And so on this occasion, the first emperor surrounded himself with a whole group of these scholars, really to be entertained by their presentations which he fully expected would be filled with praise of him. And they didn't disappoint him.
陛下，臣等祝您龙体安康，万寿无疆。
One of the understood functions of scholars at court during this time was to study the past and make recommendations to any ruler based upon what they knew of the past. Oftentimes this would mean praising the ruler for things he had done well.
臣等祝我大秦江山万事永固。
مانند بسیاری از مردم عادی چین، گروهی از دانشمندان و متخصصان نیز از او انتقاد می‌کنند. از جمله دانشمندی از فرقه کنفوسیوس به نام چان یو برمیخیزد تا سخن بگوید.
陛下， 大臣们说了赞美您的话，但是他们都在肯定您错误的做法。
He took the occasion to remonstrate against what he regarded to be the emperor's closed-mindedness and his ignorance and the emperor's lack of knowledge about the past and about historical precedent.
我担心我们的帝国将遭厄运，因为时不时故而能长久者，非所闻也。
陛下，请不要轻信这些人的胡言乱语。他的观点断不可取。
His argument was that a new age had been formed, things were dramatically different and better than anything that existed in the past, and any scholar who would actually use past precedent to criticize the present was simply failing to realize that we were now in a different and better world than had existed before.
您建立大秦王朝，靠的是自己的力量和智慧，而不是湘西古法。如今，这些儒生危言耸听，当庭蛊惑陛下，盗古而害今。究其根源，臣以为，他们所读的诗书才是万恶之源。这些。 才是我朝当前最大的威胁呀，陛下。
و این لیسی است که خشونتبارترین راهکارها را پیشنهاد می‌دهد.
陛下，臣以为，要想使我朝基业千秋万代，必须摒弃一切古法，勇于创新，才能一劳永逸。 پارانوید و حس شک و تردید در هر زمینه در مورد امنیت شخصیش و امنیت امپراتوریش باعث می شود تا سخنان لیسی به نظرش منطقی بیاید.
If these books were allowed to continue circulating and continue to be studied, this could lead to a rebellion that could jeopardize the throne and the dynasty.
And so, on the advice of Li Si, he ordered that the books be burned.
با این فرمان امپراتوری صدها سال اندیشه چینی‌ها و تمامی سنت‌های پیشین یک شب نابود می‌شوند.
People were not allowed to have any book collections at home. Books had to be handed into the government office. If people were caught violating government policy, they would be severely punished.
These books had been handed down from generation after generation. This was the scholars' livelihood. This is what gave them the status. They believed in these books. And the Confucian scholars began to talk among themselves and question the first emperor's competence. And the emperor was enraged and ordered a general inquiry and examination of all the scholars who were attending him at the court.
His primary motivation at this point is simply to eliminate all possible threats against him. The goals of a megalomaniac are to exercise total control over his environment and the people in it. It's only in this way that a megalomaniac can feel safe.
شک و تردید و تلاطم پارانویای امپراطور او را وادار به اتخاذ اقداماتی افراطی می‌کند.
你们整天只知道妖言惑众，蛊惑人心，也该为朕办点实事了吧？丞相，陛下，将他们发配边疆。
你们将得到最大的惩罚。陛下，难道你真的决定了吗？
他们都将被处死，示众。
اندیشه‌ای که امپراتور برای این مردان در سر می‌پروراند تاریخ چین را برای همیشه تغییر خواهد داد. نخستین امپراطور چین. نخستین امپراطور چین 212 سال قبل از میلاد کینشی هوانگدی اولین امپراتور چین رهبران روشنفکر امپراتوریش را به جرم اینکه به خود اجازه این جسارت را دادند که حکومت او را نقد کنند مورد آزار و اذیت قرار می‌دهد.
Half of them would be exiled to the Great Wall, which was, of course, a death sentence in itself. And the other half, he gave a sentence which was even more horrible.
Kang means pit, a burial pit. And this has been widely interpreted from very early times to mean that he took a large group of scholars and buried them alive.
کینشی هوانگدی در یک روز بیش از 460 دانشمند و محقق را به قتل می‌رساند. آنها را به جرم اینکه بر علیهش سخن گفته بودند زنده به گور می‌کند.
When he undertook these actions against the scholars, there was a tremendous outcry. This was understood that a scholar ought to reprimand a ruler who he thought was doing things improperly, and the way you would do it was precisely by looking at past precedents. So when this decision was made, there was tremendous anger and growing resentment against him.
وقتی او دچار چنین حالتی می شود، خشمی عظیم و تنفری فزاینده بر علیه او به وجود آمد.
Megalomania is a defensive reaction. He can no longer trust anyone. And also, he needs to take total control, because if he doesn't protect himself, no one else will. And it would be very easy to see that the execution of the scholars is just an elimination of a threat. There's no human feeling involved. It's just business as usual.
به نظر می رسد هرچه کینشی هوانگدی کنترل بیشتری بر امپراتوری خود اعمال می کند، نقطه اتکای قدرتش متزلزل تر می شود.
In early China, there was a belief that if a ruler was ruling well, good portents would be sent out. And so signs would be found that would demonstrate a support on the part of the gods for what the ruler was doing. After the formation of the empire, he was receiving portents, but they were negative.
محل نگاهبانی ارتش سلطنتی پاسی از شب گذشته است. زمان مناسبی برای انجام عملیات.
We don't really know if this is true or not, but it is a legend, a story that has been passed on since that time. One night, in an army camp, a phantom appeared to a group of soldiers.
همان گونه که شبح مرموز نزدیکتر می شود معلوم می شود که او یک سرباز است. روح یک جنگجوی کین که بسیار پیشتر در یکی از نبردهای استقلال میهن به قتل رسیده است.
It was the same tally that Emperor Qin offered to the river gods after he unified the nation.
If the emperor makes a sacrifice to the river god and the river god accepts it, it legitimizes the emperor. He is in the position to rightfully sacrifice to this god. If this sacrifice is rejected, it means the emperor was not legitimate to make this sacrifice. And that calls, of course, his whole rulership into question.
陛下，一名不知从何而来的士兵像幽灵一样给了我这个，他还说，
他说什么？
他说，
快说呀！
今年是陛下的死期。
住口！
He was stunned. The river was returning his offering.
After the empire was founded, there were many bad omens that were cited. Perhaps most prominent among them were comets. Comets are bad luck. In Chinese, they're called broom stars, and it's because they sweep everybody out of their way.
Disorder in the skies means disorder on earth. The skies or heavens don't fall into disorder all by themselves. They're thrown into disorder through political and social disorder.
کین شی هوانگدی همواره با مشتی آهنین بر چین فرمان روایی کرده بود. اکنون روز بررسی عمل کرده او فرا رسیده است.